Hi. So this week, with the help of BiNet USA, which is a bisexual advocacy group, and also Prism Comics, which is a collaborative of people who support LGBT creators, I was able to do a book signing at Comic-Con. And when I was there, I went to see a couple of panels, one of which was DC's From Print to Screen. And when I was there, I was very surprised to find out that on the panel was a representative of two of the greatest bisexual sci-fi characters of all time. One being the actor who plays Captain Jack Harkness from Doctor Who, and the other one, a writer who writes for Harley Quinn. Isn't that awesome? Now, knowing me, you know I couldn't just let that go. I had to go up and ask a question. So what question did I ask? I asked how the decision is made to add sexual diversity to established or new characters. And what resulted was John Barrowman, the actor who plays Captain Jack, explaining how Captain Jack became bisexual. And it's kind of awesome. Check it out. Hi, I do YouTube videos about bisexuality, and on the stage is what I can represent two of the greatest sci-fi bisexual characters, being Captain Jack and Harley Quinn. So I'd love to know what goes into adding sexual diversity to either an established character or creating a new character with sexual diverse.
To be honest with you, when we were, when Captain Jack was born, if I can do so at a DC office, because that's what we're talking about. When Captain Jack was born in Doctor Who, we really didn't make an issue out of his sexuality. He was and that's partially because the people who were creating it, I was the actor, Russell T Davies, the writer, creator, Stephen Moffat, also who created Captain Jack in that episode, The Empty Child, the very first one with the Ninth Doctor. We didn't make an issue of it because we don't make an issue out of our sexuality. Of course, we speak about things and we talk about it, but it's the norm for us. So we wanted to make it normal that the first line out of Captain Jack's mouth as he turns around after looking at Rose hanging from a barrage balloon, he turns around and he says to a guy, nice bottom. And that tells you right there exactly what it is, and he's unapologetic about it. And Russell, the beauty of Russell is taking who I am and putting it also into the character, and I'm unapologetic about who I am, as everybody should be you should be yourselves. But it was something that it kind of grew and then happened, and it changed over time because people realized what we were doing, and it was the first time that I realized it was something that was represented on television that hadn't been represented in that kind of way before, that young people growing up who knew who they were but didn't have any role models or people to look at, all of a sudden I became one of those. However, in bringing it to the DC end, you have people who are making the TV shows, there are people who are writing and creating the characters, and again, their sexuality is, if I'm correct in saying this, and you can all shut me down if not, their sexuality is secondary to who they are, or even third or fourth. It's not a primary, because the people who are creating, so they're also blind with that. I call it blind casting, if you're going to cast. So they don't think about who's playing the role and what they do behind closed doors. They allow them just to be. Is that making any sense? Do you know what I mean? And then when you create the character, okay, so she likes girls and boys. Great. That's just, it opens it up to everybody, and it's not to be looked out upon. And for years, the geek world, we've all, I'd say there's a lot of, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender people within the geek world, and we've lived it. So fantastic and many people who create the characters have friends like that. So why not put it on the page?
I also think it's not just important for these big, iconic characters to represent something. I'm very conscious because, I live in the world, and I'm very conscious even as I'm describing a panel that I'm making clear. For example, we've just worked on a Torchwood comic, and I make, in a background, I'll make it very clear that there's a bunch of kids sitting around at the campfire on a beach. I want it to be clear that there's two girls kissing. There's maybe a boy. It's like the small things are really important too. And so that's where I think the artist is really, to really have a really good relationship, obviously, with your artist, because you can expand the world in lots of small ways, not just in the big Captain Jack ways, too.
Yeah.
And I think comics and television, the things that are subtle and they're sitting back there, that, you know, a young, 12-year-old who's trying to figure out who she is, and in the background of this great comic, no attention called to, but there's two girls kissing at a bonfire. Move on.
In the comic book world, we've been doing it for years, and it's wonderful to see that television, other TV shows, networks, and other channels and other parts of the media are starting to follow in our footsteps and representing real people who are also heroes on television, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I can actually just say, not even as a creator, as a fan.
Yeah.
I've been out for a long time, over 20 years, and just as a fan, getting to see, I can sit there and go, oh my gosh, that's my family. I can finally see my family. So that is just refreshing, just as a fan to see. I can read a Barrowman and go, oh my gosh, there's a lesbian superhero. Holy cow. And now my daughter can grow up and see families like hers on TV and in movies and in books, and we talk about how jealous we are of her and the world she gets to grow up in, because it's already here,
And we appreciate it. Now, here's the most interesting thing about what you just saw. It actually has to do with the moderator. The moderator's name is Dan Evans. Dan Evans is a guy who is in charge of production. So he's the guy, one of the executives that go between the DC corporation that owns all the comics and the networks and the production houses that create the TV shows. Now here's the thing, and this is why I'm so proud of this whole little situation. There are only a few people in Dan Evans' group who makes decisions about what can be done and what can't be done. He has a very influential voice about how characters end up on television. And there are two shows currently on air that have bisexual characters in them, where the bisexuality is not represented. I actually say there's one on the air and then one could be coming back to air, which is Lucifer on Fox, and also John Constantine, who might end up back at the CW. And Lucifer is they kind of hinted that he might be bisexual on it, and certainly on NBC, Constantine, there was no sign of bisexuality at all. But imagine being Dan Evans and then watching what was said on the stage and being moved by that. The thing about Hollywood is that no one ever says no to progressive ideas, not straight out. They might say things like, I don't think that's right for right now, or, maybe in a couple of episodes or a couple of seasons, but they never ever say no. And the other thing about Hollywood is that passion sells. So since no one knows what makes a television show succeed or fail, whether it's the characters or the writing or whether the time slot or the marketing or whatever else, no one will just say no to anything. So if there's a person who comes into one of the meetings and says, I think that John Constantine should be have a bisexual scene somewhere in there, and someone goes, I don't know, and the other person says, no. I really think that there's an audience out there that will be more drawn to it because I was on a panel and I listened to people and their passion about what it means to them when they see this. I think it'll really make a difference, and I think it'll get more people viewing. The person who kind of was poo-pooing it initially would be more likely to then say, yeah, let's give that a try. So the fact that Dan Evans was watching this could have a real effect on whether or not Lucifer is actually represented as being more bisexual than he already has been, and also if John Constantine comes back, that he be bisexual. How awesome is that? This is the way the world actually works, with little kind of inspirations for particular individuals that get inspired to then go out and make these other changes that goes about and changes the world. And who knows what could happen after that? But that's it. If you think that it's important that there are characters on television that are bisexual, you have to show your passion encouraging that to happen. So you know Dan Evans is one of the people who makes those decisions. And he probably has a Twitter page, and he probably might be even further inspired if someone sends this video, a link to this video to him. I'm just saying that these things can make a difference if you want it. If you truly want it, that is how you could help change the world. But that's it. Thank you to BiNet USA for sending me to Comic-Con and allowing me to meet so many of you wonderful people who came over and said hi and bought my books and all that stuff. And thank you to Prism Comics for giving BiNet USA the opportunity to be there. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I do many videos on bisexual topic, though I don't do them on a regular basis. So that means that if you want to know when a new video comes out, you have to then click on a little button that says, let me know when a new video comes out. Until the next video, stay cooler, my bisexual friend. Stay cooler. Bye-bye.